Have you ever had that strange, nagging feeling that something was off, yet you couldn't quite explain why? As if your choices weren't entirely your own, as if an invisible hand was subtly steering your actions. Maybe you've agreed to favors you didn't want to do, backed down from arguments, even when you were right, trusted people who later revealed a different, darker side. If any of this sounds familiar, and it likely does, then this video is for you. Because here's the hard truth: you are being manipulated, every single day, by people around you, by the media, by leaders, by anyone who understands how to exploit the hidden levers of the human mind. And the worst part? You don't even know it's happening. Forget hypnotism or dramatic mind control. The most effective manipulation is quiet. It convinces you that you made the choice, that the mistake was yours, that you're the one in control. Most people live their lives like this, unknowingly moved like pawns on a board. They never agreed to play, and when they do try to push back, they're met with guilt, fear, or self-doubt, because they've been conditioned not to resist. Think this doesn't apply to you. That's exactly what a skilled manipulator wants you to believe. This video won't give you comfort. It will give you tools. Because the masters of manipulation, just as Machiavelli knew, don't shout, don't threaten. They watch, they listen, they understand what drives you, and then they use it. If you don't understand what drives you, they will. In this video, you'll learn how people manipulate without detection. You'll uncover the emotional triggers, the subtle control tactics, the hidden pattern. You'll recognize your own blind spots, and more importantly, how to defend them. Because real freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's knowing why you want it. This video is a summons, a call to those who are tired of being used, to those who have suffered in silence, been blamed, silenced, conditioned. Here you will learn how to stop playing the role of the puppet and step into the role of the strategist. But be warned, once you begin to see, you can never go back. You can no longer pretend you don't know. So prepare yourself, because what you're about to uncover may forever change how you view others, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to get what they want, even when they don't deserve it? They don't beg, shout, or threaten. They persuade. They engage. They make you believe that you made the choice. This isn't charm. It's not luck. It's technique. It's manipulation at its most effective. Manipulators don't act on impulse. They observe. They study you, your reactions, your insecurities, your need for approval, your fear of rejection, your guilt for saying no, and they use it, all of it. Manipulation doesn't begin with words. It starts in silence, in the way they read your posture, your tone, the pauses in your voice. Some use charms. They smile, compliment, make you feel seen, heard, special. But behind the kindness is cold calculation. They're building emotional debt. And when someone is too good to you, your instinct is to give something back. That's when you start surrendering. Others use guilt. They act like victims, overwhelmed, misunderstood, and only you can help them. Slowly, they shift the emotional burden onto you. And if you step back or say no, they don't argue, they sigh, drop a subtle remark, give a wounded look. You fold without realizing it, because they never had to ask. You offered. And then there are those who use fear. They spin catastrophic futures. If you do this, you'll end up alone. If you leave me, no one will ever love you again. They don't bind you with chains, but with ideas. They make you question your strength, doubt your choices. And so you stay voluntarily trapped. These strategies aren't new. Niccolò Machiavelli, in The Prince, laid them bare, with surgical clarity. He understood that people are driven by emotion and self-interest, and that those who master this can shape the world. As he wrote, men judge more by their eyes than by their hands, because all can see but few can understand. That's what manipulation is. an emotional and visual theater, designed to look like reality. The manipulator builds the stage, and without knowing it, you become part of the cast. They assign your role, write your lines, and you perform the script, believing the story was yours all along. But here's the terrifying truth. That theater only works because something inside you allows it. A crack, a blind spot, an unspoken longing. And that is where we go next, into the vulnerability that makes you a target. Because until you recognize what weakens you, you will continue to be manipulated, and you'll call it love, friendship, or respect. Let's tear that illusion down right now. If this message is resonating with you, hit the subscribe button and support the channel. Thank you for standing with truth. Now listen closely. You're not manipulated because you're weak. You're manipulated because you're human. Because within every human being, there are hidden blind spots, unresolved desires, unhealed wounds, silent needs. These gaps are the entry point. And the manipulator, they don't need to force their way in. They simply observe. They notice the things you haven't even admitted to yourself. Some of us carry a deep hunger for approval. From a young age, we were taught to earn affection, that love is a reward, not a right. So we bend, we perform, we mold ourselves into what others want, just to feel seen, valued, worthy. Manipulators sense this need instantly. They toss you crumbs of validation, and in return you give them unwavering loyalty. They echo what you long to hear, and slowly you surrender your autonomy. Others carry the weight of guilt. They feel selfish for saying no, for putting themselves first, for drawing boundaries. They were conditioned to believe that self-sacrifice is noble, that prioritizing their own needs is cold or cruel. So even when something feels wrong, they stay silent. They doubt their instincts. They submit. Manipulators know this guilt. They present themselves as just wanting the best for you, then use that distorted morality to guide your choices. And then there are those haunted by fear, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being forgotten. These people cling to any connection, even if it's toxic, just to avoid facing the void. The manipulator offers comfort at first, a false sense of security. Then they subtly threaten to take it away. They whisper, "Without me you're nothing." And the worst part, you believe it, because your fear already told you that long before they did. All these vulnerabilities have roots. They don't appear out of nowhere. They are born from past experiences, quiet traumas, generational conditioning. And as long as you avoid confronting these wounds, they stay open. And those who approach with a smile and hidden agendas, they know exactly where to press. Machiavelli understood that. He knew that true control doesn't require force, only insight into human weakness. The nature of people is changeable, he wrote. And while it's easy to convince them of something, it's hard to keep them convinced. So the manipulator doesn't convince. They occupy. They slide into the empty spaces you've left unguarded. Manipulators thrive in the places where your awareness is absent. But there is a way out. You don't have to remain emotionally predictable. You can learn to recognize your own gaps, and more importantly, how to seal them. Only then will you stop being an easy target. Only then will you begin to live with clarity, instead of confusion. And that's exactly what the next part reveals. How to build emotional armor. How to develop real immunity against manipulation. Are you ready to stop being a hostage? Because what comes next takes courage. Most people say they want to stop being manipulated, but few are willing to pay the price of emotional freedom. And that price, brutal awareness. Because yes, the truth will set you free. But first, it will hurt. The first illusion you must destroy is this: that being good, empathetic, and understanding will protect you. It won't. In fact, when those virtues aren't paired with clarity, they become weaknesses. They make you vulnerable. They make you easy to control. Building emotional immunity isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming conscious. It's about refusing to let your emotions be used against you. Step 1. Recognize your patterns. Pause. Observe. Ask yourself, what emotional triggers make me fold? Is it the fear of disappointing others, the anxiety of being rejected, the overwhelming urge to keep the peace, no matter the cost? Because when you understand what drives you, you stop playing their game and start playing your own. Step 2. Develop what Machiavelli might call strategic detachment. This isn't about losing empathy. It's about not being ruled by it. It means watching without immediately reacting, hearing flattery, but not internalizing it, sensing when someone is pulling emotional strings, and pausing before you move. Manipulators rely on your urgency to feel. They need you to react, not think. So think. Step 3. Become unpredictable. Manipulators thrive on patterns. They map your responses like a chessboard. If they cry, you comfort. If they flatter, you melt. If they pressure, you fold. Break that cycle. Say no when they expect a yes. Disappear when they expect a confrontation. Stay silent when they push you to explain. This disrupts the script. It forces them to show their true intentions. Another essential step. Build a solid identity. The more you know who you are, the less you need others to confirm it. And the less you need to prove yourself, the less power others have over you. Manipulators prey on your self-doubt. They make you question who you are, but only in ways that serve their narrative. When your internal sense of self is solid, external manipulation loses its grip. And remember, this is not a one-time fix. This is training. Emotional immunity doesn't come from watching a video. It comes from daily practice, observing yourself in real time, resisting the urge to please, standing firm in your decisions, even when it feels uncomfortable, remembering that you owe no one anything, except your own mental clarity and sanity. In a world where emotional games are the norm, choosing not to play is already an act of resistance. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men must be pampered or destroyed, for if merely offended, they will take revenge." It's a harsh thought, but it reveals an uncomfortable truth. In the game of power, there is no neutrality. Either you learn to navigate the emotional terrain, or you will be ruled by it. But what happens when the manipulator isn't some distant figure in the media, but someone close? Someone in your home, your workplace, your bed? How do you respond when cutting ties isn't so simple? In the next part, we will step into perhaps the most delicate and difficult territory of all, manipulation in close relationships. Because escaping emotional control becomes far more complex when the person holding the strings is someone you love. And this might be your hardest test yet. If what you're hearing resonates, you'll find even deeper insight in my ebook Beyond the Shadow, where I break down Carl Jung's core ideas and give you practical tools to understand your inner world. The link is in the pinned comment. It's easy to talk about manipulation when the manipulator is a stranger. It's much harder to face it when the one pulling the strings is someone who's been a part of your life for years. A parent, a partner, a boss who gave you a break, a childhood friend you once trusted completely. In these cases, the manipulation is subtler, more dangerous, and infinitely more painful. Because it doesn't come with threats. It comes disguised as affection, concern, loyalty, and out of fear of losing the connection, you stay silent. You compromise. You bend until you forget how to stand. The intimate manipulator rarely needs to lie. They distort. They don't raise their voice. They imply. They don't stop you from making choices. They make you feel guilty for choosing anything different. And over time, you stop questioning. You walk on eggshells. You avoid conflict. You preempt their moods to keep the peace. What you don't realize is that you've become a prisoner, not of chains but of emotion. In a romantic relationship, it sounds like, "I only do this because I love you. Without you, I'm nothing." But love that demands submission isn't love. It's emotional blackmail. In families, it wears the mask of tradition. "You can't do this to your mother. You owe us respect." But respect born from guilt isn't respect. It's control. At work, it appears as loyalty. "You should be grateful. No one else would give you this chance." But gratitude, that's used as leverage is just another form of manipulation. And here's the core truth. Closeness does not justify emotional violation. Love does not grant the right to mold another through guilt or fear. But to break the cycle, you must accept something uncomfortable. Not every relationship with love is healthy. Not every person who loves you knows how to love you freely. Not every bond that holds you is protecting you. Some are only preventing you from growing. So how do you act? Start by setting boundaries. Clear, firm, unapologetic. A calm, confident no has more power than 1,000 explanations. Then comes exposure. Say what you see. Say what you feel. Say what you will no longer accept. Not to change them, but to affirm yourself to yourself. And finally, hold the line. Because the backlash will come. Insults, guilt trips, the cold silence, designed to punish. The manipulator feeds on your hesitation. They test your limits, hoping you'll bend. But here's the truth that most don't want to face. Sometimes, loving someone means walking away. It means leaving the dysfunctional dance. It means letting the other person confront their own emptiness. Because as long as you're there, trying to save, sustain, or explain, they won't change, and you will lose yourself. It's not an easy choice, but it's a necessary one. Because only those who free themselves from toxic bonds develop a new kind of vision, one that sees beyond words, beyond masks, beyond intention. And with that new clarity, we step into the next stage: how to apply Machiavelli's strategic thinking in modern life to protect your mind in a world built on influence. The time has come to turn the tables. Machiavelli didn't write to comfort. He didn't write to sound ethical or virtuous. He wrote to reveal truth, raw, brutal, and unvarnished. And if you want to survive psychologically in today's world, you need to learn to think like he did, with cold clarity, precise detachment, and strategic vision. Because let's be honest, we live in an age of constant manipulation. Social media, advertising, politics, religion, even relationships. Everything is built on image, narrative, emotional leverage. And those who don't understand this, they are swallowed by it. Machiavelli understood that humans are driven by emotion and interest. He wrote, "Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands. Everyone can see, but few can touch." In other words, perception is more powerful than truth. That's the game today. Whoever controls the narrative controls decisions. Whoever controls the image controls influence. Whoever understands human psychology controls behavior without ever raising their voice. So what does that mean for you? It means you must stop living on emotional autopilot. Machiavelli didn't believe in universal morality. He believed in context. What works in one situation may fail in another. What sounds noble in theory can be self-sabotage in reality. Kindness without discernment is naivety. Honesty without timing is self-destruction. Altruism without boundaries is servitude. If you want to be free, you need to learn to play the game and play it well. And it starts with observation. Read people the way Machiavelli read kings, not by what they say, but by what they do when no one is watching. Judge behavior, not promises. Study patterns, not apologies. Trust less in words and more in the motives behind them. And above all, don't react. Anticipate. The manipulator moves strategically. Your power is to stay one step ahead. Use silence as a weapon. One of the greatest weaknesses in emotional warfare is overexposure, talking too much, explaining too much, feeling too much. The Machiavellian mind knows. Silence confuses. Silence commands respect. Silence breaks the manipulator's rhythm. When you don't react as expected, the script collapses. And in that moment of chaos, you take control. Next, master ambiguity. Machiavelli taught that maintaining influence often means appearing virtuous, even if you aren't. In modern life, this is emotional camouflage. Adapting your posture, your words, your presence, to the environment without ever giving away your core. Adapt to your environment, but never lose your essence. You don't need to reveal everything. You only need to show just enough to control perception. The rest, you keep to yourself, because real power is never loud. Real power is what's not displayed. And above all, take responsibility for your emotional state. The manipulator feeds on your instability. They need you to doubt, to fear, to hesitate. But when you know yourself, regulate yourself, and stay unshaken under pressure, you become impenetrable. Machiavelli wrote, "The prudent man should follow the paths beaten by the great, and imitate those who have been excellent, so that even if he does not reach their level, he may come close. Use their wisdom. Master the game. Stop being a pawn in someone else." Now that you understand the architecture of manipulation, and how to defend yourself with strategy and clarity, there's one final question. What now? How do you turn this awareness into real, unshakable strength? How do you live in the world without ever again being controlled by it? That's what we uncover now. The final and most important part. How to take full control of your mind and never be manipulated again. Are you ready? We've arrived at the hardest truth, and the most liberating one. As long as you don't fully control your mind, someone else will. And it won't always be a villain. Not some cartoonish evil manipulator. Sometimes it's a smile. Sometimes it's a childhood phrase you never questioned. Sometimes it's society itself, gently shaping you to obey, to yield, to stay silent. The manipulation that affects you most isn't just in the words of others. It's in the thoughts you never learned to challenge. It's in the emotions you treat as truth. It's in the choices you think you made, but were actually driven by fear, guilt, or the hunger for acceptance. True freedom begins when you stop calling conditioned reactions free will. But that freedom has a cost. It requires you to let go of illusions. The illusion that everyone means well. The illusion that you must always be kind, understanding, and available. The illusion that being accepted equals being safe. It demands that you become strong enough to carry the discomfort that comes with boundaries. The awkward silence after a firm no. The loneliness of stepping away from roles that harmed you. The grief of leaving behind an identity built on pleasing others. But once you cross that threshold, you'll realize something profound. You will no longer be manipulated the moment you stop needing to be accepted. When the fear of disappointing others no longer dictates your choice. When your clarity is stronger than your neediness. When your self-respect is louder than their guilt trips. And finally, when you can look into the eyes of the ones who tried to control you and calmly say, "No more." What you do with this knowledge now is entirely up to you. You can go back to your routine, forget everything, and keep playing the game without realizing you're being played. Or, you can start today to train your mind to observe, to analyze, to resist, and to rebuild. You can choose to become the kind of person who doesn't bend to emotional blackmail, who sees through the masks, who walks with clarity and strength, even when everyone else is going in circles. Now I want to hear from you. At what moment in your life did you realize you were being manipulated? What was the click that made you finally see? Or are you still caught in an emotional game and need help to break free? Speak up, comment below, because verbalizing is the first step to breaking the cycle. And if this video opened your eyes, don't stop here. Watch the next one. It's just as important, maybe even more, because knowledge is a ladder, and each step you climb takes you further from the darkness. So, keep going, keep climbing, because the truth doesn't just set you free, it transforms you. See you there.